Hey everyone, just jumping on today to share some Dreamwork sigils with everyone. We had our live dream tending this last week. I kind of rushed through a few things, so I wanted to do a PowerPoint presentation and explain the creation of sigils for Dreamwork and some collectively created sigils with collective energy that would work very well for you in your practice as well. So let's just jump right into it. All right, share my screen. And here we go. All right, so dream work sigilling. As many of you know, I teach about the lightning dream divination process, ancestral and visitation dreaming, Asclepian healing dream work, and we do the live monthly dream tending group, which I absolutely love. And that is for all of our Patreon members in the $10 a month tier and higher. So if you are a dream worker, I definitely suggest you check out our Patreon. Okay, so the first part of this presentation, I'm just kind of breaking down how to make a sigil. And, it's a little bit different for everyone. I'm kind of giving you kind of the gross background directions, but you can play with this and make it your own. A lot of people do. Me, for example, I use symbolism in my sigil work. But if you're new to sigil work, basically you're setting a positive present tense intention, and you're going to simplify it by removing vowels and repeating letters. You use the remaining letters to design a unique abstract symbol, focusing on connecting them intuitively rather than aesthetically. So think bind ruins. It's my favorite example. Most people are familiar with the ruins. And when we create bind ruins, we are taking those symbols and we are creating a unified symbol. And it doesn't have to look any certain way. It's an incorporation that's intuitive and it has meaning for you, the caster. Now, you are going to charge that sigil with energy through ritual, typically like visualizations or sacred fire, to sort of like you're not just releasing it to manifest your intent, you're activating it. So when you see me doing root works, puppetry works, you will see me burning these sigils I have created in a sacred fire. And the reason I do that is to activate the energy of that sigil. So I do an initial activation just to kind of charge it with that intent. But then whenever I use it after that point, it is just activation work. And you do need to let go of attachment to the outcome. That's pretty mainstay in the world of magic. If we fixate on an outcome, we create blockage. So breaking it down very simply, set your intention, decide what you want to manifest. Is it protection, love, abundance, clarity? Write that intention as a short positive statement in the present tense. So, for example, my home is protected, or I am creative. You want to avoid phrases that imply lack, like I want or I need. Always steer clear of those statements. Simplify your statement. Of course, remove the vowels, cross out all the vowels, A, E, I, O, U, from your statement. Remove any repeating letters. So cross out any letters that appear more than once. So if your intent is my home is protected, you would remove the vowels O, E, I, O, E, E, and the repeating consonants T and E. This leaves you with, as you can see, that letter spread there on the screen. And then you're going to create your symbol. You're going to combine those letters using the remaining letters to form that unique symbol, like bind ruin work. Follow your intuition. You don't have to worry about making it look like the original letters at all. You can let your subconscious guide you to combine and rearrange all those letters into an abstract design. You can connect, overlap, you can add lines, whatever feels right to you. It's your magical device, your tool for manifestation. Now, alternative methods, there's lots of them. Some traditions allow for the use of images or objects from nature to create sigils, bypassing letters entirely. Again, this is very unique. It's very individualized. There are some collective sigils out there, which I'll share with you today, but feel free to have fun with this. This is spiritual art 101, right? Once you create your sigils, you're going to be using them forever, right? You're going to be using them anytime you're trying to manifest that specific thing. So they are truly yours. So you're going to want to charge a sigil, infuse it with energy. So this step usually imbues the symbol with your energy and intent. There's lots of methods for charging. Visualization, of course, placing your hands over the sigil and visualizing energy flowing into it. There's meditation, focusing your thoughts and energy on the sigil during meditation. There's the destruction rituals, which are where we burn that sigil to release its energy, usually after a period of visualization or meditation. And there's also physical gestures. So some people engage in physical action while focusing on the sigil. Again, completely up to you. And then you're going to release the sigil, right? You're going to let it go. Once charged, it's complete. It's important to let go of your conscious attachment to the outcome. Again, fixations are the number one manifest killer that I see with my clients. You want to let it manifest. This allows the energy you've put into it to work without interference. You can then dispose of the physical sigil. You can wear it as jewelry. You can keep it in a special place. I use mine obviously in sacred fires. I have created some jewelry pieces I've worn over the years too. It's completely up to you on how you want to work with your sigils. There's no right or wrong here, folks. Now, I am presenting this to you as part of our dream work ongoing kind of teaching or lessons. So, what I wanted to do is not only present to you how to create your own sigil for your own dream work practice, but I wanted to share with you some collective sigils that are quite powerful. And when I say collective sigils, these are sigils that are kind of out there. They've been published in different books. They're on different websites, and people from all over the world use these sigils because they call to them. They have some sort of energetic correspondence to them. The ones that I'm including today, I really enjoy. I've used them on occasion. And the nice thing with collective energy is it's empowered, it's amplified. You have multiple sources feeding that collective symbol. So it does make it quite powerful in its own right. And I like doing that. I like working with collective symbols just because you are bringing in that group energy. It's just like our community monthly services. Every month on the new moon, we charge our community and group honey jars, souring jars. If there is a Sabbath or something special happening that month astrologically, I'll have a group community service because the more of us that are feeding energy into that intent, the more powerful that work becomes. It can just kind of, charge right through blockages, and it can help produce very, very quick manifests. A lot of people want quick magic, right? And the reality is when we manipulate energy, there is a manifest structure period. Those energies have to structure themselves. They will take the route of least resistance, typically initially in the beginning. And it's over time that we see that structure creating manifests that present to us that are very strong, and they grow in strength over time. So I like sigils for the simple fact that sometimes they can help to expedite that process, that manifest structure process when we're creating energetic change. So definitely in dream work as well. Dream work can be very tricky, because our subconscious brain, our human monkey brain will mess with our activity in liminal spaces. So anyways, I could go on a tangent here. Sorry, I tend to like rattle on, but let's take a look at some collective sigils. This first one here, astral projection, lucid dreaming. This is a wonderful sigil that's used collectively for those means. I don't know if many of you have a dream altar. I do. It's the headboard of my bed. So I keep all of my crystals, my herbs, my everything I use for dream work is right there in the headboard of my bed. And so when I use sigils to help me in my dream work practice, I actually have this beautiful prism. It's a pyramid prism that I will set these sigils underneath to project into my dream state. So you don't need a big fancy dream work altar, but use your headboard. You can set these sigils in your headboard along with herbs, crystals, whatever you use in your practice to amplify that into your liminal space in that dream state. So this one's great for astral projection and lucid dreaming. This second one here, this really colorful one, is great for remembering the past while dreaming. A lot of times during the lightning dream process, I will be looking at past occurrences to recollect with clarity what really truly occurred if there's some confusion. So, or there's periods that are blocked out. You know, my childhood, there's certain periods where there's nothing. And so if I'm trying to pull memories from these blackout periods, these are the types of sigils I would use. Right here is a great collective sigil for remembering the past while dreaming. On the end here, decoding and understanding my dreams. One of the number one thing, the number one thing I hear from my clients, well, I guess the number one thing is, not dreaming, but the number two thing is not really understanding what's being presented to them in the dream state and having to go through that decoding process, which, by the way, again, dream tending, being able to project with fellow dreamers is a great way to do that. But if you're not in a dream tending support group, I definitely would suggest using sigils like this decoding sigil right here on the end. Remembering your dreams. You know, a lot of people will wake up. If you don't have a dream journal right there or some sort of audio recorder device for you to record your dream, it seems to slip away from you sometimes, right? I keep an audio recorder there. I think it was like 20 bucks on Amazon. As soon as I wake up, I start recording. And the more I start dictating that dream and all of the details from it, it seems like the more comes to the surface that I can document. I actually suggest doing that over writing because writing takes time, whereas audio recording, you can just spout out anything and everything and it will record it for you to play back later. Most cell phones too, smartphones have an audio recorder function on it if you don't want to buy a separate recorder. So this is a great sigil for remembering. This is another great sigil for lucid dreaming. My ability to lucid dream is strong and I do it often. So this is somebody who's really trying to build a lucid dreaming practice. And again, here's another one right here in the corner for lucid dreams. Another one that I like, I have lucid dreams. These are the statements that created these sigils, but these are all wonderful sigils and they're collective sigils. So they've been used by people all over the world and have been fed energy. So the land of spirit, the world of spirit in that liminal space recognizes these symbols probably a lot more quickly because of the collective use of them. All right. My picture box. Let me move it. All right. So dream sigils here on the right side of the screen, restful sleep. You know, we all could use that more often in our lives. Protection from nightmares. If you're having a period of lower frequency energy, you may be suffering from nightmares. It's that 9 of spades activity, right? Dream recall and symbol understanding. So this is very similar to the decoding sigil, but it's just another one that's a collective sigil that you could be using or incorporating into your practice. Now, I only have a couple of these here. If you are an advanced practitioner, if you are familiar with Abramelin, if you are familiar with Semper work or astrological astro magic, you may want to do something a little bit more ramped up. You may want to use magic squares. You may want to use talismans that you are creating. So on the left here, this is a very common dream work combination of using planetary influence through the creation of talisman and magic squares, they're called. I don't know what else we could call them. It's Abramelin work. And so what you have here, and this is a Luna diagram. These are the Luna magical squares, the planetary associations, the spirit associations, the deity associations. You would basically be creating your magic square like you would your sigil and using it on your headboard Dreamwork altar. You can burn these also in a sacred fire for release. There is a lot more involved, which is why I didn't want to do a deep dive on it. It can get a bit complex, especially if you are creating talismans to feed these magic squares or number magic, numerology magic, because then you're having to like heat and pour lead into, loaded organs and things of that nature. And you can only do it in certain astrological periods. So it becomes quite complex, but I wanted to show this to you in case any of my advanced practitioners was interested in more advanced dream work. Um, I'm calling it sigil making, but it's much more than sigil making. We'll call it Abrameline work or Semper work or magic square work. But this is kind of what that would look like. This is the formula for basically lucid dreaming, astral travel using Luna. Um, so, and again, if anybody's interested in more of this more complex work, let me know. I would be happy to do an EDU on that. I just haven't worked with a lot of people in, my practice that have the time or the supplies to dive this deeply into it. Again, here's another one. It's Mercury. Mercury is another advanced dream work. If you're using Abramelin, Semper work, magic squares, if you're making astrological, astrophysical talismans, this is the formula for Mercury. And this is especially important for dreams where you are diving into the past, doing any kind of first house, 12th house, eighth house work in your dream state. It is affiliated with some of the endings in our life. So it is sometimes closure dream work. But again, this is, for my more advanced practitioners. And if anybody is interested in a deep dive, please let me know. Oh, sorry, right here on the right, dream recall and symbol understanding, just another one of those collective sigils you could use. All right, protection from nightmares. Here's another option. I receive memories of my past life through my dreams. So a lot of times, my past life workers, when they are working on one of their maybe many past lives, they will use visitation dream work to do that. And they also use Asclepian methods because sometimes that involves healing some past life issues that are now presenting in this one. So this is a great collective sigil right here for doing that and helping in that process. Being protected in your dreams. I am guarded in my dreams. Now, this one in the middle in the black is interesting. Have nightmares of me. Not everything is unicorns and ponies, if somebody's giving you a particularly hard time and they won't leave you alone, you can cast in your dream state to not necessarily set cross conditions, but maybe humble that individual or silence that individual. This is a sigil I have used to induce nightmares in individuals who were harassing me, and it works very well. Again, here is another Luna formula for more advanced work in terms of creating a magic square, a planetary influence talisman that you would be using on a dream work altar to help with very specific dream, lucid dreaming, astral dreaming, manifestation dream work. So there's a lot of things you could use this for. I know it's very advanced, but I wanted to at least share some basic symbols and formulas with you. Again, if anybody wants to dive deeper into this, let me know. It can be quite complex. There's only certain windows of time during very specific astrological periods that you can create these squares, create these seals, these talismans for them to be activated appropriately. So there is some math involved in here, a lot of astrology. So yeah, if you're interested, though, reach out to me. I have no problem doing a deeper dive. All right, you guys. So that was in a nutshell it. Let me pull myself back up. I know that's a short presentation. I just wanted to kind of share a couple FYIs with you, some DreamWork tools. And, if you have any questions, reach out to me. Make sure to visit our YouTube. I'm always posting free EDUs on there. I do have some of our older DreamWork EDU videos on YouTube already. And if you're interested, join our Patreon. Every month we're doing that live dream tending group. We do lots of stuff in our Patreon, but I really do love our live dream tending. We all meet in Zoom land and we collectively share our dream experiences, our dream work, projects, and we projectively, give each other feedback and guidance and interpretation value too. There's not enough that can be said about interpretation value. Sometimes we get stuck in our own head, and it's nice to have that third party neutral interpretive value for what you're doing and what you're dreaming. So anyway, stay magical, y'all.